The boring premise: pitch this to a studio executive, a documentary about a mid-sized paper company in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Or a sitcom where four friends in New York talk about nothing in particular. On paper, these ideas sound like failures. They lack an obvious hook, a high concept promise of excitement. They sound, for lack of a better word, boring. And that is precisely their greatest strength. When a story-esque premise is stripped of spectacle, something else must take its place. There are no car chases, no international spies, no dramatic courtroom showdowns. Instead, writers are forced to mind the tiny, often overlooked details of human interaction. The entire dramatic universe has to be built from awkward pauses, quiet disappointments, and small, unexpected moments of grace. The stakes are, on the surface, comically low: a stapler encased in gelatin, a dispute over a parking space, the last carton of milk. But this deliberate mundanity creates a powerful sense of authenticity. The fluorescent lights of the office or the familiar booth of a coffee shop become stages for conflicts we all recognise. The drama isn't about saving the world, it's about surviving a Tuesday with your dignity intact. This approach is a creative gamble. It bests everything not on the plot, but on the hope that an audience will find a piece of themselves in the quiet struggles of ordinary people. This is storytelling on a high wire, with no safety net of spectacle. If the characters fail to connect, there is nothing else to catch the fall. Landscaping services. The image of landscaping is often a simple one: a truck, a trailer, and a mower. For many homeowners, this represents the entire industry. It's the weekly service that keeps the grass short and the edges clean. This is landscape maintenance, a crucial, high-volume business built on repetition and reliability. But this familiar scene barely scratches the surface. The other side of the profession is landscape construction, often called design build. Here, the tools aren't just trimmers, they are excavators, stone saws, and 3D modeling software. These professionals don't just maintain a space, they create it from bare earth. They grade soil for perfect drainage, build retaining walls engineered to last decades, and install smart irrigation systems that respond to local weather. Their work requires a deep understanding of horticulture, soil science, and even principles of architecture. A single project can involve moving tons of earth, laying intricate stone patios, and selecting specific plants that will thrive in a unique microclimate. The contrast is stark. One service is about preserving a static picture, a routine task performed on a schedule. The other is about building a living, dynamic environment from a blueprint. The line between these two worlds is often blurred, but the skills, the investment, and the final results are entirely different. It forces us to ask what we're actually buying: simple upkeep, or the complete transformation of the space we call home. Junk removal. It often starts with a single phone call. A garage has become impassable, a loved one's home needs to be cleared, or a renovation has produced a mountain of debris. Soon after, a branded truck arrives, and a small team gets to work. They are part demolition crew, part logistics experts. Their task is to make years of accumulation disappear in a matter of hours. But this isn't just about heavy lifting. The crew performs a rapid triage on every item they touch. That worn-out sofa might be broken down for its wood and metal frame. A box of old electronics is separated as e-waste, containing valuable materials that are costly to extract and hazardous to discard improperly. They must quickly assess what can be donated, what can be recycled, and what is truly bound for the landfill. The business model itself is a careful calculation of volume, weight, and disposal fees. Landfill tipping fees can be surprisingly expensive, and specialized recycling centers charge for their services. For the homeowner, it tests the price of a clean slate. Physical and mental weight of their unwanted possessions is simply hauled away. As the truck door closes, the clutter is gone. The problem is solved. But the journey for all that stuff has only just begun. Commercial cleaning. As the last employee heads home, an entirely different workforce clocks in. This is the world of commercial cleaning, an industry that operates almost entirely out of sight. Teams of trained professionals descend on silent office towers, schools, and hospitals. Their tools go far beyond the simple spray bottle. Think powerful floor buffers that strip and wax acres of linoleum, high-filtration vacuums that capture microscopic allergens, and precisely diluted chemical solutions designed for specific pathogens. The scale is immense. A single crew might be responsible for sanitizing hundreds of individual workstations, dozens of restrooms, and vast common areas, all before the first morning coffee is brewed. Every night is a carefully choreographed operation. They follow detailed checklists, moving from high-touch surfaces like door handles and elevator buttons to deep cleaning carpets and air vents. It's a systematic process built on efficiency and trust, giving them access to sensitive spaces and valuable equipment. This nightly reset is fundamental to the modern workplace. It directly impacts employee health, maintains expensive infrastructure, and projects an image of professionalism that can make or break a business. The work is physically demanding and largely invisible. But what truly separates a standard clean from a specialized one isn't just the equipment, it's the knowledge of chemistry, microbiology, and the hidden life of the spaces we inhabit every day. Vending machines. The first vending machine wasn't built for a brick room. It was built for a temple. In the 1st century AD, the Greek engineer Hero of Alexandria created a device that would dispense holy water in exchange for a coin. The mechanism was ingenious in its simplicity. A coin dropped onto a pan would act as a counterweight, tipping a lever that opened a valve. Once the coin slid off, the valve would close. After this ancient debut, the concept of automated retail vanished for almost 2,000 years. It reappeared in the 1880s, not in a temple, but in the noisy, soot-stained railway stations of industrial London. These new machines dispensed postcards and books, catering to a newly literate public on the move. The idea soon jumped to America, where the Thomas Adams Gum Company placed the first commercial vendors on New York City subway platforms in 1888, selling Tutti Frutti gum. From there, the technology spread rapidly. By the 1920s, Prohibition-era Americans could buy a cold soda from a machine, and soon after, cigarettes and candy bars followed. The humble box became a silent, reliable fixture of public spaces, offering a simple transaction for a moment of convenience. But that simplicity is deceptive. The placement of each machine and the selection of every coiled snack is a result of a calculated science, designed to turn a moment of impulse into reliable profit. Laundromats, the rhythmic thump of a drum, the mechanical whir of an agitator, the warm, humid air thick with the scent of detergent. It is a sensory landscape familiar to millions. The modern laundromat feels like a permanent fixture of urban life, but its history is surprisingly recent. Before the mid-20th century, the task of laundry was a private, laborious chore confined to the home. The idea of washing your clothes in public, alongside strangers, was entirely new. It was born from a simple necessity. As American cities swelled after World War II, millions moved into apartments and tenements too small for personal washing machines. An entrepreneur in Fort Worth, Texas, had already opened the first washateria in the 1930s, but the concept truly exploded with the invention of reliable coin-operated machines. Suddenly, a public utility became a viable, low-maintenance business. These spaces became accidental community centres. They are equalizers, where people from every income bracket and background perform the same mundane task. For the price of a few quarters, you buy machine time, but you also get a front row seat to the quiet, unscripted theatre of everyday life. It's a place of forced patience, a waiting room between one part of your day and the next. The business model was simple: provide machines, collect coins. This reliable, cash-heavy operation made it an ideal investment for small business owners. But its ability to process large amounts of untraceable currency also attracted an entirely different kind of entrepreneur. Self-storage facilities, drive to the edge of any town and you'll find them. Endless corridors of identical, roll-up metal doors under the constant watch of security cameras. This is the landscape of self-storage, a real estate empire built on a simple premise: we own too much stuff. The business model is brilliantly simple. A company buys a cheap plot of land, builds a grid of concrete and steel, and rents out boxes by the month. The scale is staggering. The United States has more self-storage space than it has McDonald's, Starbucks, and Subway locations combined, over 2 billion square feet. This boom is a direct symptom of modern life. As our homes shrink and our consumer habits expand, we need a place for the overflow. Storage units act as external attics for population in motion, holding the contents of a life during a move, a divorce, or a deployment. For many, what starts as a temporary solution becomes a permanent expense. The monthly fee isn't just for space, it is a subscription to procrastination, a way to put off making difficult decisions about the past. But there is a brutal efficiency built into this business. When the payments stop, the facility places a lien on the unit. After a few months, the lock is cut and its contents are sold in a public auction, often for a fraction of their value. It is a fast-paced, unsentimental process. One person's abandoned life becomes another's potential treasure. Behind every one of those metal doors isn't just clutter, but a story waiting for its final chapter. Pest Control. From the moment we first built walls and stored grain, we drew a line in the sand. On one side, human order. On the other, a wilderness ready to reclaim its territory. This wasn't a conscious declaration of war, but an open invitation. Every silo, pantry, and pipeline became a beacon for opportunistic life. For centuries, the fight was personal and direct. A clever trap, a watchful barn cat, or the simple authority of a broom. These were localized skirmishes against unwelcome guests. But as our ambitions grew, so did the scale of the conflict. The tidy farm became industrial agriculture. The small settlement swelled into a metropolis, its sewers and subways creating entire ecosystems for rats and cockroaches. The enemy was no longer just at the door, it was thriving in the foundations. This new scale demanded a new weapon, one born not in the forge, but in the laboratory. The chemical age promised total victory. Compounds like DDT were deployed with military precision, wiping out insects that had plagued humanity for millennia. It seemed we had finally gained the upper hand. The war was being won. But this chemical blitzkrieg had consequences no one foresaw, because the battlefield was in some distant land. It was the soil beneath our feet and the water we drank. We were fighting a war in our own home. HVAC and plumbing, hidden within the walls and floors of every modern building, are two colossal, life-sustaining networks. They are the mechanical equivalent of a body's respiratory and circulatory systems. The first is HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. This is the building's set of lungs. It pulls in outside air, filters it, heats or cools it to a precise temperature, and distributes it through a maze of metal ducts. At the same time, it exhales stale, used air back outside. This constant exchange is controlled by thermostats on the wall and managed by massive air handlers often tucked away on a roof or in a basement. It's a dynamic, breathing system designed for one purpose, human comfort. Running alongside this network is the plumbing, the building's circulatory system. It is actually two distinct systems working in parallel. On one side, you have the supply lines. These pipes are under constant pressure, ready to deliver clean, cold, and hot water to any tap at a moment's notice. The other side is the drain waste vent system. It's an elegant, gravity-powered network designed to carry wastewater away safely. The often forgotten vent pipes are critical. They allow air to enter the drain lines, preventing vacuums that would stop water from flowing and, more importantly, blocking dangerous sewer gases from entering our homes. These two systems, air and water, are the invisible titans of architecture. They twist around structural beams and snake through ceiling cavities, their paths carefully choreographed by engineers. We live our lives completely oblivious to this intricate dance of pipes and ducts, never considering the immense pressure or the silent pull of gravity just inches away. We only become aware of their existence in the moment they fail. The Scalability Blueprint, a sudden flood of new customers, should be a dream come true. For many, it is the beginning of the end. The very systems that worked perfectly for a handful of people now begin to buckle under the weight of a crowd. Orders are lost, service slows to a crawl, and the quality that attracted everyone in the first place starts to disappear. This is the classic scaling dilemma. The solution isn't just about working harder or getting bigger. It is about changing the fundamental design. You could build a single, impossibly powerful machine to do all the work and approach goal vertical scaling. It is a direct solution, but every machine has a breaking point. The alternative is horizontal scaling. Instead of one giant machine, you build a system of many smaller, identical ones that work in parallel. This philosophy is the blueprint's foundation, designed for duplication, not just for size. Each component, whether it is a server, a store, or a team, is a standardized, repeatable unit. When demand increases, you don't rebuild the original, you simply add a new, identical unit. The system spreads like cells dividing, seemingly without limit. But this creates an entirely new challenge. With hundreds of thousands of independent parts all working together, how do you ensure they all speak the same language? How do you maintain control when the system itself is designed to be decentralized? Modernizing the Mundane. For decades, the traffic light was a remarkably simple machine. It operated on a timer, a dumb clockwork that cycled through red, yellow, and green, regardless of how many cars were waiting. This led to a universal frustration, sitting at an empty intersection, waiting for a light to change for no one. The first major upgrade was buried just beneath the asphalt. Engineers cut thin grooves into the road and laid down loops of wire. These induction loops created a magnetic field. When a ton of metal, like a car, passed over it, the field was disrupted, sending a tiny signal. The light on your car was there. This simple detection was a huge leap. It turned an isolated, timed device into a responsive one. But the real transformation began when these individual intersections started communicating with each other. A central computer could now see a wave of cars building up on a main artery and adjust the timing of lights a mile down the road to ease the flow. The goal shifted from managing a single crossing to choreographing the traffic of an entire district. Today, this choreography is becoming predictive. Using AI, these systems analyze historical traffic data to anticipate rush hour before it even begins. They can create a green wave for an approaching ambulance, turning every light in its path green without the dispatcher's command. The humble traffic light, once a simple clockwork director, is becoming a nerve ending in the city's digital brain. And the question is no longer just asterisk when asterisks to turn green, but what this brain is learning about our daily journey. Your path forward. We stand at a crossroads with 1,000 branching paths, and every sign seems written in a language we don't quite understand. This is the modern condition of choice. Faced with this overwhelming data, our instinct is to freeze, to stall for time. We endlessly scroll through options, searching for a guarantee of 5-star review for our own future. We operate under the assumption that with enough research, the single correct path will light up and reveal itself. But this exhaustive search is often just a sophisticated form of procrastination. It's a way to delay the inevitable risk that comes with taking any first step. The problem isn't a lack of information. We have more of that than any generation in history. The real issue is the illusion that a perfect, risk-free choice even exists. Ancient navigators had no satellite view of their destination. They had the stars, the ocean currents, and a deep, practical understanding of their vessel. They didn't just follow a map, they made the map as they went. Their journey was a continuous process of observation and course correction. Today, we often treat our careers and lives like a train on a fixed track, panicking at the slightest deviation. We see any unexpected change as a derailment. We should instead see our path forward as a ship at sea. Fundamental skill isn't route memorization. It is learning how to actually sail. The real work is building the capacity for adaptation, for reading the winds, for repairing the sails when they tear. So, what is the first, smallest experiment you could run to test the waters, instead of just staring at the map?